Non-issue. I can't stress that enough. 0. Um, did they know that you had context? Like when you
I mean, I
said
was
the
there for
order?
like I was there before they were. Like I was
Then
there
yeah, they
for
should have
like
immediately
the whole
deferred
thing.
to whatever it was you were saying without hesitation. Like straight
That
up.
was
End
sort
of
of
story.
my sort of my point was that it was, I was very clear about it. I didn't stutter when I said it. Um, and then they were reluctant to listen.
Should we call Jessica? Oh, she's not around.
She just was. Did she go off to? She might still be on. She might still be awake, but off, or she passed out. Oh, let's see.
Yeah, I definitely like clarification from Jessica, because if it was any of the individuals who were on duty that just complained further about it, that is ass. Full disclosure, I think us using guns in SBS situations is fucking stupid and shouldn't happen. So I agree with like whatever fucking execution, whatever happened, okay? Like probably shouldn't have happened. I don't even have context. I don't even know who's fucking involved.
I really think there's still more context to this. We need to get all the information. I can't stand it when people come to me, not necessarily you, but just come to someone, then be like, well, this is what we're doing because of this, this, and this, but then provide no actual context to what those situations were, why they're being looked, etc. So also, we should, if there's a cop has executed 3 people, we should probably know about that. I don't see any command reports on this. I don't see any reports on this at all. And if this is a case of if it's behind a wall of permissions for the marshals, then I'm sorry, I'm not a mind reader. I need to know things in order to be able to tackle them. So I don't know. There has to be more to this. I'm trying not to form too much of a judgment. With taking this at face value, it doesn't sound good. But I'm hoping there's way more context to this that will make sense of things. I hope. That's really all we can say, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
I think
The thing that's just pissing me off the most
is going to be awake in a minute, so she should be able to meet with us.
These non-issues becoming issues. Like, it's so silly. It is so silly. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Who are the 2 marshals present for that situation?
Blunt and McAllister.
Okay, then quite frankly, I would like to speak to them directly and get their like version of events. Instead of playing this game of telephone. Like I definitely want to hear what Springfield may have to say regarding all this, but at the end of the day, this isn't even specific to this situation. This is how are they going to respond to scenes being given directive from the LSPD, who is present from the beginning, like moving forward. Are they going to sit there and second guess every decision that's being made?
That was sort of my biggest concern, and I explained that to them when I was talking to them afterwards. Like, look, if it's your scene and you're making the call, that's your call to make. But when you're on our scenes, dealing with our officers, if we're making that call, I'm expecting you guys to listen to it. I'm not expecting pushback. I'm not going to sit there and have an argument with them on a scene.
Yeah, and again, quite frankly, I don't care what their SOPs are. If I'm not familiar with them, if I don't even know they exist, quite frankly, they don't. Like there's nothing for us to follow.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Springfield's on duty. Is she coming here?
I'll call her.
I'm taking a seat.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I don't. So bear in mind, there's 4 of us and 1 of her. Let's try not to lynch mob.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Springfield is solid at communicating.
Yeah, she's great. I really do like her. She's very good.
Same. I'm gonna go to the.
She's kind of creepy because I killed a friend, but
well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know what? I actually hate this side.
I was gonna ask, do you want this chair or do you want?
No, it's fine.
Clarity and context. The best that you can. The best that you can.
You know, not much of a smoker.
Yeah, you sure you don't want to swap sides? Because I love nicotine.
Oh,
You know what
and I love coffee. Let's swap sides.
All right. This is an
Does
Irish
that make
coffee
me a
I've
mug?
got over here. What?
Oh
I
wait,
said, does that make me a mug?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
no,
meditate for a
no.
moment, but I am.
Wait,
I'm
but
here, but I'm meditating.
Davenport, don't you love your new mug?
I do. I
You're
do.
a fucking mug, mate.
No, King, I have one for you too.
Oh.
Stay here.
Okay.
Doop, 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 doop.
Please don't worry. What's this?
A gift.
Oh! Hey! Oh shit, that's fancy. It's got the bars on it and everything.
Yeah, it's really
Mhm.
neat, isn't it?
Thank you very
Yep,
much.
yep.
That's
No
lovely.
problem. I intended on, getting them out a couple days ago, but the holidays were just quite busy.
Yeah. Okay. I need to meditate for a second. I'll be here, and listening, but I'm also meditating at the same time.
Just gonna grab a crumpet to go with his mug.
This is mug.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Springfield, we just wanted more context as to like what prompted the crackdown, if you have any.
Which
and
one?
Whatever.
Wait for
The-
King to see one
Which
to know as
incident?
well.
I thought you said he can
Which
is
drama?
listening.
Yeah, he's listening. He's here. He's listening.
So the one you mentioned to me, you said about an officer like field executing 3 people. Do you know what that's in regards to?
So it was kind of like it posed to me as like a little funny hee hee thing in regards to like Osvaldo and that whole house arrest thing because, it's just a lot of fun over there. And I'm sure you've seen the sheer number of reports we've had over there. I think we had like 10 reports in like 5 hours from that stupid. I mean, it's not stupid, it's perfectly legal. But there's just been a noticeable uptick in people trying to be funny hee hee with their firearms. And an even more noticeable number of officers using like second guns that aren't registered.
I mean,
I'm not
that
saying
shouldn't be
specifically,
happening.
like, we
Yeah,
have-
I agree.
Yeah, it shouldn't be happening. And it's been, I myself have seen some pushback when I'm like trying to talk to officers and be like, hey, who has this gun? This is not registered. And I'm trying to articulate who got shot, analyzing evidence and things. And it's just, whenever I was telling you there's like, it's not like necessarily a crackdown. It's more like awareness. It's getting pretty bad. Like, I see it constantly now of people using their guns for silliness. And the crowbar thing wasn't necessarily like it's definitely a different level. I mean, I know how Reggie is, and I know how Shift 3 is. So, like I told you, I totally understand both people's points. Those marshals more than likely were not on the radio and didn't hear Remy laughing and talking about it. But those 2 marshals also come from the day shift where they're having to deal with pretty escalated situations very similar to this regularly now. Like I said, I don't want to be like the fun police and being like, hey, we can't have fun anymore because, people are stupid. But it's more just like, can we be more aware of these things and not
I
cause
mean, yeah,
drama about it?
everything in moderation. I agree, right? Like balance is important in damn near every aspect of what we do in life, right? Too much of any one
Yeah.
thing can certainly be bad. I can 100% agree with that. I think my uh I think my concern stems from like having the situation explained to me, and like I'm not necessarily going to say response, but like the perceived um like attitude from the marshals involved in the situation seems not ideal, especially if they're sort of jumping onto a scene without context. It's kind of one of those, if there are people already there, and someone making orders, at that point, again, if you don't have context, you follow those orders, right? Like, there's zero reason not to.
Now I'm gonna say I don't have direct knowledge. This is coming third party. Like
Got it.
what I know about
Hold.
it was
Okay.
about the crowbar thing was handed on to me by, or was passed on to me by the director, who had it passed on to him by somebody else. From my understanding, is that that occurred in lower motor pool and MRPD, and they
Happened,
were just sitting in their car and watched it.
it happened to upper motor pool ramp, like into lower motor pools. They were on the ramp and they were just sitting in the car there. Yeah.
Okay, not on an actual scene or anything, right? It was
No.
at Mission Row. They were chilling in their car. They saw an officer getting chased with a crowbar, and they warned the individual, but then were told, no, don't worry about it. It's just them having a little silly fun. Is that kind of the TLDR summary
Um, it
without
was,
the
yeah.
fussiness and attitude?
Essentially, they got on their megaphone and told Reggie that if Reggie hit Remy with a crowbar, that they were going to shoot Reggie. And I said
Wait, they
no.
had a megaphone?
Yeah, or they were yelling. Like they were loud
Oh, I
enough
was
to.
like,
Yeah,
since when were megaphones work?
I'm pretty sure they were. It sounded. They were loud, either on megaphone or just yelling. They said it out loud so that Reggie could hear it.
Well, that makes me want to try my megaphone and see if it works now.
Might be worth a try. But I'm pretty sure they were on the megaphone, but I could be mistaken. And then I said, "No, you're not. We're not going to shoot him." And then they kind of they questioned it to an extent. They were like, they were definitely like, "What? What do you mean? Like, what are you saying?" And I reiterated. I said, "We're not going to shoot him. There's no need to shoot him. I said, let us deal with it." Um, and they were just they were reluctant. That's essentially what happened. And then they left it be, and they went and continued because they were, I think they were just trying to get into the lower motor pool to go use the bennies to customize their car. And as they were sitting
Oh,
there,
probably. It
like
was blunt,
Reggie,
right?
yeah, Reggie and Remy, like it was taking place in the ramp into the lower motor pool, so they couldn't get in. They were blocked. It was blocked, so they had no choice but to roll up to it. And then they saw what was happening there.
And to be very clear, I mean, obviously, again, I was not present for that very specifically. I take no issue with them announcing that they were going to do that, given the circumstances and information they had available. I think my only concern, and obviously I have no problems having this issue with Blunt or McAllister or whoever was involved. My issue stems from like I'm at least thankful they listened, but it's like this, it sounds like a bigger issue is being made of a nothing burger, and I don't like that, especially for shift 3. I don't like that certain lines have to be drawn for different shifts, but the reality most certainly exists that, and this firsthand, I would imagine, having been in shift 3. You've been around when Reggie was doing all of his lifeguard shenanigans, right? Like, there are certain things that occur that likely wouldn't happen during other times of the day. It is what it is. That's the reality of life, right?
Definitely.
When I tell you, so I was around, just not present for the situation. When I tell you Remy was laughing while saying something to the extent of, he's hitting me with a crowbar, and then also bravoed, like, that was like how that situation was dealt with. And then if I recall correctly, I'm 90% sure he crashed out by hitting a tree in front of the Fleeca and went down. Like leaving Mission Row.
That's just funny.
But again, these situations, like the last thing we want is for nothing against you, but marshals to essentially tell us, yeah, that can't happen anymore. I 100% agree if it was us utilizing a weapon. 100% agree with you. Shouldn't happen
Yeah,
for a variety of reasons.
obviously.
But when they're like, I have a thing with Osvaldo. Okay,
Yeah,
straight up,
sledgehammers.
Osvaldo has hit me with the not a crowbar, a golf club, and you know I may have done stuff. You know, I'm probably not gonna say it in
Oh my
front of you
God.
personally, but you know,
Road.
listen, it was with
Mutual combat.
it was with consent from the other side. Okay, that's
Consent is
very
important.
similar-ish to how that situation went, and I just don't want there to be
Uh-huh.
issues with marshals going onto scenes and like not necessarily questioning what the fuck's going on. I think questioning is fine, but like second guessing calls that are being made by people already there, because I think that
Has
ends
there-
up being a larger issue.
Has there been additional issues with that same thing?
There
Because
was
again, this wasn't
there
a
was
scene. This was Mission Row.
there
right?
was one other again at MRPD that was like inherently he didn't do anything wrong. I don't remember which one it was. This was a while ago. It was again nothing burger really, but now that it's come up a second time now it makes me think maybe it's something to keep in mind. There was a situation with the clowns at MRPD and something was happening. People were hitting each other or fucking around. I don't remember exactly who it was. I think it was Steel.
Or something
But
they were fighting each other. at the
yeah,
front?
they were fighting each other in the motor pool, and then Steel got chopped by Lily, and the marshal called 78s.
I mean,
Oh
I don't
dear.
necessarily
Who did that?
think I don't necessarily
But-
even think that's like an egregious example, because
Right,
again,
exactly,
if you
and that's
don't
why I
have
didn't bring it up.
context,
Exactly.
Right,
I was
that-
about to
And
say
that's-
that was
that-
the case.
that
So
presents
Yeah.
very poorly. Like, and I would expect
I spoke
that.
to McAllister after. I think it was. I'm like 90% sure it was McAllister. I spoke to him afterwards, and he said all I saw was that they were running around, and then I saw an officer get chopped. And I said, okay, inherently that's the right call to make. That makes
exactly.
sense.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't bring it up at all. But again, it comes down to context. He didn't have any context in that situation, so he made the right call without the context. But then with the additional context, it wasn't that that sort of a scene that was happening. But I mean, that can happen for any of us if something's happening on another radio that we're not familiar with and we don't know, and then we see somebody do something, and then we're like, "What the fuck was that?"
Well, especially at our large, like our biggest community location, right? Like this is
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
we all gather to do our business and stuff.
Yeah.
'Cause that's what I'm saying is the common factor in these situations is a lot of the joking around happening at our community location.
Yes,
and
that's
not
exactly
everybody
it.
has context with each other.
So
Yeah,
No,
I definitely
I
see
hope it
that.
didn't come across that. I hope it didn't come across that I was trying to give you an order to crack down on that stuff. I
no,
was trying to bring awareness that I have been seeing an increase of it across all shifts, and more just like, hey, just as the shift lead, I'm just making you aware what I'm observing so you know to look out for it.
it did come across to me more like you guys are cracking down on it, and so because you guys are cracking down on it, we need to keep an eye on it more and keep it reined in more. That's what I gathered from how we spoke.
I mean, realistically, we're paying attention to it. I wouldn't say we're necessarily cracking down. I mean, there are some investigations open on some things, but nothing on this shift, obviously. But more of just like we're trying to take. I mean, of course, we write reports on fucking everything.
I want to say that the issue likely stems from the fact that it was, I don't necessarily want to say dealt with at the time, because I spoke with Maple. I don't know if it was the day of, I think it was the day of when you had brought it to my attention.
so.
And then I remember you saying that you wanted to speak, I think, with the
I wanted to speak to
marshals.
Springfield,
Yeah, correct.
but I wasn't able to.
And then it was like seemingly brought back up, but reframed as like, you know, we're cracking down type deal. And it seemed as though this was, the way I perceived it was almost that situation was the last straw on the camel's back. And then I'm sitting here thinking like, well, not that I'm looking for an excuse, to be clear, to deal with Reggie, Reggie can be an asshole, and dealing with him sometimes can be a bit iffy. But like, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, what other things are we no longer going to be able to do because a marshal got upset that they didn't have the context of the situation? And I didn't want that to happen. I think that would be silly and a disservice to everyone around during shift 3. And I'm saying shift 3 very specifically because the likelihood of something like this happening in other shifts is fairly slim.
Can I ask a question?
What was that?
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
So
Thank
I've
you so much for
had
the raid.
this cowboy gunslinger guy approaching me recently and has been asking for jewels and stuff. Definitely have done jewels against him. Is that the kind of thing we're talking about? Because I have documented those scenes. I do have reports attached.
Huh?
What do you mean?
It sounds like Springfield has zero context.
Exactly. So okay, so this guy who sounds like he's trying to talk like he's from the South, and he's talking like this, and he comes up to me, goes, "I'm a gunslinger, fastest in the West. I challenge you to a duel." So I said yes. We took there was some good, the bad, the ugly music playing, you know, the that shit, and then we took 5 steps away from each other, and you know, and then I got shot down at one of them, he got shot down at another one.
Oh
What's
my
the story with
God.
that?
I mean, there's mutual combat laws, aren't there?
That's
Wait,
true.
do they still exist?
I think
Well,
so.
I don't
Ready to
know.
report
There
on
used
it
to be
for
mutual combat, but didn't that have to be at like City Hall? I don't even know. I'd
I
have to
think
look
there's
at those.
stipulations around it, and we probably didn't follow those. That's what I'm saying. I'm bringing this up as something. Is this an issue, or is that just the kind of stuff that we don't care about, or what's that under?
I mean, it's always good to cover your ass if you're going to be discharging a firearm, but I mean, this is my opinion on like having to do with all shifts because I've been to Super Degen. I mean, if it was one of my marshals doing something like that, we'd expect a report written and them detailing exactly what happened. Because it's a CYA thing. Like, you cover your ass on it.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
I
I've
engaged in
done
mutual
reports on
combat
it.
on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, then, I mean, as long as it's being reported and not being like, it's not putting other people at risk unnecessarily, I don't see why not.
I think. I mean, I think ultimately it's difficult. Like, I think it's hard to say yes, absolutely, that's okay. Like in situations like that. However, I think if a marshal were to have found out without context and look into it, I think upon them asking you the context, and you sit there and explain it to them, it should be very fucking clear that this is not a I just hate this guy and I want him dead and that's why I did this so I could have the upper hand. And you know what I mean? Like, it's very much so a mutual thing agreed upon by all parties, and it's not that serious. But again, I don't think it would ever be appropriate for like a marshal to give like a thumbs up to say, yeah, you can totally do that. You know what I mean? Because then what ends up happening is people are going to go to marshals to get a thumbs up, and then having been given an inch, they take a mile, and then everything gets shut down because people can rarely do things in moderation.
I agree. It sounds to me,
It's
Springfield,
tricky.
and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds to me like the TLDR of what we spoke about is that there are some cases happening of people essentially using excessive force and then claiming, haha, funny. And that's what the problem is.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Gotcha.
Yes.
And it's hard to
effectively.
deal with that while simultaneously
And
dealing with other things, even though in those other things the opposing party isn't complaining, but the fact that it happened, like, at face value looks bad, even though there is context. I can see the issue
and unfortunately,
there. Yeah. Okay.
some people are
Everything-
having a lot of difficulty separating between the difference of 0 to 100 from actual legitimate lighthearted play and going, oh, well, that's okay. Pulls out gun and shoots somebody in the head. Look, that was fun.
Yeah.
Springfield.
Fair enough.
the someone died in that scene where you were collecting evidence. We informed them, and they were practically laughing.
Yeah.
Practically laughing. Didn't they say something like, "Which one?"
Yep.
And
They said at least it was that one and not the other one.
It's okay. I mean, I kind of those two are still fairly new to some of this stuff. Those two particular marshals. I mean, as are some of the marshals are still fairly new. I know some of them have been hired for a while, but they don't necessarily have the training, or didn't have the training that we had, or necessarily the understanding of how some of those situations work. So, I mean, more so than anything, I think we should treat it as a learning experience for those two marshals on reading. I don't know
Context
how
from
else to put
scenes.
it. Yes. Getting context from scenes and understanding what's appropriate and what's not. And sometimes you have to apply your knowledge of how to be a police officer in different ways that don't necessarily make sense.
That was something else that I explained to them when I spoke to them afterwards. But I said, standard operating procedures are for standard situations, and sometimes the situations we deal with are not standard.
No, I agree.
But yeah, if
Some
I
of it is,
see,
I mean,
if
I
I
mean, there are
see,
people who have joined into the marshals because they expected and wanted a more serious role, and we have been trying to guide and adapt those people, right, to fit the mold correctly for all shifts, depending on where they are. And I mean, we have our place, right? Those types of marshals have their place, and it's usually dealing with attack helicopter.
I mean, respectfully, so do I, and I don't have this issue. So I think it's just a learning problem, like a not a learning problem, an experience problem. That's all.
yeah, I also
Yeah,
don't want them to feel as though, like we're unapproachable, because it sounds like Maple had a conversation with them, and I don't know. For this to have been sort of brought up, I don't necessarily want to say further. It sounds as though they still took issue with it, which to me is the concerning bit. Because if provided said context, I don't know, again, why it had to almost be then perceived as like the last straw on the camel's back in this type of situation, if that makes sense.
If I understand correctly, Springfield, you said that they brought it up to the director and then it bounced back down to you.
well, they brought it up to the director, and the director just made me aware because I'm one of the heads of IAA, like looking inside of Marshall's office. I don't investigate cops; I investigate marshals in
Right.
IAA, and so he wanted me to be aware on
Oh,
that end, to be like, hey, just keep an eye on this.
I mean, I
I
think
feel
it's
like if
It wasn't-
Brian knew all context and everything, he would probably say the same as us.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Well, that's the feeling I got from Brian when I heard it from him. Was like,
Yeah.
hey, this is like a big nothing burger, but you just need to be aware about it
Yeah.
in
Fair
case
enough.
people complain about
just
these
yeah,
marshals.
that's valid. That's valid.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it
hell,
is.
you never know if there's going to be a fucking news reporter with a news camera a block away recording the situation, and then there's going to be a fucking like front page. Marshals do absolutely nothing to the individual who crowbars cop. Like,
Oh, God, we've had enough headlines of
Yeah.
that like that recently.
so like I understand. I don't know, man. I think mentally I try to accommodate like damn near every scenario to be like, yeah, it is acceptable here, but not there. And I don't know. I think I start finding too many exceptions in these types of situations. But TLDR, I do, like I said, hopefully you don't mind, but I do intend on having a conversation with either of the two marshals that were present, just to
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
just so that we can have a general understanding of like these are the norms of shift 3. Should you ever take issue with it, don't hesitate to reach out to anyone who is in command. Quite frankly, you could reach out to damn seniors. Damn near every, like, it is such a close knit shift. Everyone's gonna have the information. And I don't want them to feel as though we hate them. because obviously it's likely going to be framed that way. Considering
nobody
we're now
hates
having this
anybody with this.
conversation. Yeah.
It's literally
We just want them to know so that
Yeah.
it isn't an issue moving forward.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, it's also going to be better to have that conversation one-on-one with people who have firsthand experience with it. Like I said, I'm like the fourth hand on
Yeah.
this.
Mm-hmm. All right. I mean, I think that covers. I think that covers the area of concern for the most part, at least with you, right? Because you weren't directly involved, but you are. I will say primarily our point of contact because you are around daily.
The messenger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's why I wanted to say it's not a lynch mob. Sorry about that.
No,
Well,
it's
I don't know why I'm
alright.
apologizing.
I'm sorry
I didn't
if,
want it to be a lynch
and
mob.
I'm sorry if I articulated it wrong, my people. I didn't want it to be like a command. It was just it was literally me coming to you as a courtesy for awareness, being
think
like,
it-
"Hey, this is what we're experiencing." I mean, you know how people are when we experience it the same in local PD when someone from shift 1 to 2 comes to shift 3 out of the blue and their expectations are different and they sometimes struggle just the normal patrol stuff. It's the same thing in the marshals too.
It makes
I
sense.
think, I mean, I entirely also, like, I misunderstood at the same time as to how it was conveyed. So
Yeah, and some of these
that's
marshals
why I
might
figured it was
pop in
probably
on shift
best.
3 occasionally because it's more peaceful and they can actually get their paperwork done.
That's fair. Thank you very much for telling us all that.
Yeah,
Very
thank you
helpful.
for the, like
Yeah,
I said,
do
thank you for the
appreciate it.
clarification and context. Is exactly what we were hoping for. So thank you, Springfield.
Yeah. Any other ones? Any other marshals causing issues?
No.
Can I bring up the other one or no?
You want
Uh,
to mention the other one, Davenport, that we spoke
There's
about?
another one?
I don't think you were there though, Jessica. So it might be like asking you to explain something you don't know
I
about.
wasn't there for most of them. I've been briefed on a lot of the conflict stuff though.
Okay. Do you know about what happened at the? Where would it happen yesterday?
Was it CMC?
CMC with Pred and Ruth and Chapman.
Merrick and Ruth, Brandy,
Yeah.
Pred,
Do you know more of the
Manor,
context? Because
besties.
we're trying to get that. We don't really know all of it.
I mean, again, it's going to be hand-me-down context, but it was from what I understand, marshals saw, like, were watching someone get harassed and were observing, taking pictures, and then it turned into a shooting.
Oh.
And they called additionals, and something about the marshals were primary and trying to coordinate everything, and then one of the officers released somebody, and the marshals were like, "Why are you releasing them? I'm trying to do these things." But then it was like one of them got sassy. One of the marshals got sassy about it, and it turned into a dick waving contest effectively.
Fuck.
That just got hyped up by Pred being there, who wanted to push it, and then officers wanting to impress, and then marshals wanting to big dick, and everyone got a big talking to.
Oh, really? Okay. Has it been dealt with? Is it even worth us like bringing this up? Has it been dealt with or?
I mean, it's been dealt with on our side
Okay.
because the marshals have been spoken to about professionalism and maintaining control. And I mean, yeah, a LSPD tried to take over control, and I guess one of them got a little sassy about it, but it was dealt with.
Okay.
And that marshals don't have to respond with that same level, and that they're expected to remain professional.
Fair enough.
I have a hypothetical.
Yeah.
So I also have, bits and pieces of said conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say marshal directive was to charge someone with gang related in this situation that occurred, right? And the officer is sitting there saying, no, there isn't enough. Then at that point, the marshal who is in charge in this situation should just process, right? Because if I have officers saying, again, hypothetical, I don't actually know that this actually occurred. I'm just saying, should this occur? The marshals were primary on this scene. They were the ones who witnessed stuff. They say, we're going with gang related. This person didn't have a gun. They were shot down, negative for GSR. Cop says, or someone in LSPD says, I don't think there's enough. Can we collectively agree that the next course of action is the marshal making that decision should be the one processing?
Well, let me slightly alter that with if it's just an LSPD officer who's primary and is ordering people, hey, that guy's going to get charged with gang related. And the processing officer goes, well, I don't think we have enough for it. The primary goes, I'm going to articulate it, process them that with that. Here's the charge they're going to get. Is there a difference on that? And it's going to be up to the person who's the primary. If they're commanding somebody to be charged with a crime, the
I would tell
primary
them to do
officer
it
needs to
themselves. I
articulate
wouldn't
it.
do it. I
I
will
mean,
never
if
charge
they're-
anyone for something that I cannot prove in court.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that you're not technically the one charging them at that point. The primary officer is. You're just doing the paperwork. You're just doing the billing and the documenting the possessions. The actual articulation for PC needs to come from the officer who's pushing the charge. If the one who's pushing the charge is the one who's making the command.
I mean, I agree with that portion, but we all know how stuff like appeals work, right? The officer that was sitting there in front of said person is going to be the one very specifically named.
Right. So the correlation I think of it, right, is when you're a 77 on a scene and we're short on manpower and you need to process somebody and you don't have full context as you weren't there from the beginning, and you ask, hey, what did this guy do? You're getting told by scene lead, charge that person with robbery. And robbery, reckless evading, possessions. That's all they're being
I think
charged
in areas of direct conflict
In
or
a situation like
disagreement,
that,
whoever
you're gonna
says
charge
do
them.
it should be the one to do it.
Yeah, you just
Am
write
I
in your
wrong?
statement, I was directed by primary to process this person with this charge. I mean, it's
Right,
kind of the same thing. If
Nine
you're
times out of 10,
directed,
you're gonna fall through on that.
yeah, you're going to be, I mean, your statement is
Hi,
literally
Rob.
going to be, I was directed by this officer to charge this individual with this. And then it's up to that officer to articulate PC. And as long as your statement says that, there's nothing comes back on you.
So yeah,
Right?
so like yeah. That's my thought of the matter, at least, because we've done that plenty of times. There's plenty of situations where we pick up a 95 as a 77, an OIS, for
conflicted.
example, that like what just happened.
I'm
where we have officers
conflicted.
attaching that don't have full context of the situation. They're gonna be like, "What's this person being charged with? I wasn't there at the beginning."
Okay, but so
And-
I think categorically we're talking about two different things though, because in the example that I give, it is not they lack context. It is there is a direct disagreement between whether or not there is enough.
Okay.
And
that
I
sense,
feel
then yeah.
if it is a direct disagreement where one believes the threshold has been met and the other does not, I think best course of action would be whoever believes there is enough should be the one pushing said charge.
I agree.
I'm sorry,
because
I thought that's what the thing
So
was.
I'm
The
gonna speak up here,
scenario was.
because I was there for
Uh-huh.
that scene. And we got a call for 77s because they spotted a shootout between Manor and Besties. Okay. When we arrived on scene, the marshals did nothing. They were just standing there. If we hadn't have taken control of the scene, nothing would have happened. We would have just stood there and watched it. We moved in once the others cleared out because we didn't have enough officers on duty. We searched, GSR'd, did everything with the suspects. One was negative, had 0 guns on them. Yeah, they'd been robbed. What are we going to charge them with? Nothing, because we cannot prove a single thing in court. And it was
If
said
this is
that on the
that
scene.
same situation,
It is.
I don't know what they were wearing. I know marshals won't move into a situation if they're not marked and in uniform, if they were just witnessing something. But the report that I read in regards to that situation, they were watching and witnessing as these subjects were driving around with 3 cars circling one, and they actually have photographs of them, including like in the middle of the action before police arrived. So they had the context.
Yeah, of Bestie
And
circling
I mean, if
Manor.
they didn't, I think so.
Yeah. And the people that got arrested were Manor. So
Hmm.
they did not initiate. They simply self-defended.
Well, I mean, well, hold on. How could they even self-defend if they
So if
didn't,
the
if they weren't even positive for GSR?
Well, I mean, the two that were GSR positive were
Got
obviously
it. Got it.
would be
Okay,
self-defense
understood.
in that
Yeah.
situation.
Well, so
But
that's kind
my
of tricky though, because gang-related shooting literally doesn't care. Like
Yeah, it doesn't
that's
care.
I
fucked up.
understand that, but I mean, if that's the context they got of people being harassed, which is what was said, and people circling them, they have no option to either just stand there and get riddled with bullets. And I can tell you now, I don't care who you are. If you get a gun in your possession and someone's shooting you, you're sure as shit going to shoot back at them,
Yeah.
regardless of what the
Yep.
situation is, whether
Mhm.
they've had 100 fights before or not. That is just human nature. You are going to fight to
Yeah.
save your own life. And when there is no context given to any officer on scene, and we say we've got one here that's GSR negative with no possessions on them, and it's called out, well, they were robbed, they could possibly taken a gun. If they didn't shoot and no one called out that they were involved in any way other than they were being harassed and circled, there was nothing to go on to charge them with because they didn't even initiate anything.
I mean, yeah, I do agree in the sense that the people who are negative for GSR had no weapons. Like, they typically should not be arrested. And I gave an example of a situation in which they probably should. You know how people are setting up on rooftops and uh, aiming guns towards other people, but not taking shots until it's the most opportune time. If someone in a situation like that, who still has yet to shoot, then jumped in a car with someone who has been actively shooting in this situation, and this was observed by PD in, say, Air 1, I don't care if you're negative for gunshot residue. Like, you are a willing participant in this, and you just didn't have the most opportune time to open fire, but you were directly involved in this. I'd still push that 100%. But if we don't
That's-
In
have
which
almost
case you're an accessory or an accomplice.
exactly, but if you don't have that, like, very specifically, and all we have is a body riddled with bullets, negative for GSR, and we can't actually put them, like, not as a willing participant, but, like, you know, they pretty much had no ability to do anything. I'm not pushing that. So I guess what I'm saying here is, in that situation, if a marshal gives a directive of charge them with gang related, and I sit there and I go, there's not enough. We should have we should figure out what to do there, because, like, between departments it's a little more tricky. Realistically, if I tell someone to do something in the LSPD, they're going to do it. But I don't even know if I've ever come across a scenario where the disagreement is whether or not we have enough to push it. And it sounds like this is more in line with the situation that happened yesterday or whenever it did.
Yeah, so if it my experience and perspective is I agree with the fact that if they believe it and there is a clear disagreement from the other side, then I think that person should be the one to charge it. um I'm very much against someone sitting there and saying, no, don't charge it. If the person thinks they have the articulation for it, let them try, let them cook, let them do it. 'Cause I've been in situations a long time ago where I wanted to push charges and I was ordered not to do it. Um, Even though I had, I think, very good articulation, and it's the reason why we have the robbery of a security firm charge now. Um,
Hmm.
but I've always been against stopping anybody who is comfortable and confident in charges that they're articulating from doing so. That's part of what we're here to do. But I agree with Rhodes and important the fact that if we don't have the sufficient evidence, then and we are against the call, then I think that they should be the ones charging it. But as Rhodes also said, if there's additional context, especially with gang relateds, where yeah, they might get caught lacking GSR negative and no gun because they got caught out. But I brought it up to Davenport earlier. If somebody's driving a car who the car's shooting from and they got shot while they were driving, but they never shot a gun and they don't have a gun on them, they're still accessory, right? They're still accomplice. They're still there, right? They took part in it, so they should still get charged accordingly. So yeah, I think very
Context matters with that. I mean,
yeah.
as it was just
Oh, yeah.
stated now that they were circling them. Like, what are you going to do in that situation?
Yeah.
I've even given
have-
hypotheticals before regarding like if besties are on Grove and they're at war with the manor, and all of the manor is negative for GSR, we know damn well what happened. Like, we don't have to sit there and play dumb. We know who the aggressors were when the aggressors are literally at the other gang's home turf. Like,
Yeah. And I mean, we can go back and forth on PC all day, but the crux of it is like, if a primary on scene is trying to tell you, hey, I want you to push this on this person. I mean, it's like Maple said, it's the same thing as like somebody comes in at the end of an OIS and just grabs the 95 with no context. They're just being told what to charge them with. It's the same thing. You're gonna charge them with that stuff.
It's
You just do
slightly
it and you put in there, I was directed by this person to charge this. But if I will say, if somebody's saying you need to charge them with this and they're not busy charging somebody else with other things, sorry, get off your ass and charge them then. Get off your ass and do it.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I do think that it matters whether you're just adding context or just out of context, or if you strictly disagree with the decision. I think if you disagree with the decision, you should not be the one charging.
Yeah, I think context matters heaps. So
Yeah.
because at no point in time during that was any directive given on what to charge people. If the marshals were primary on that scene, they gave no direction of what they wanted people to be charged with at all.
Yeah, and I
And
do
even
believe
when
they
it
were.
was, and the only
Yeah, I
thing that
believe
was
the
said was
marshals
smart ass
involved were spoke
backhanded
to about
comments
that.
about,
Yeah.
well, if you're going to let one go, you might as well let them all go.
Yeah, and the marshals involved were handled in that regard, in regards to their attitude and their professionalism on scene with that one. In
Like if they
general
really
sense,
wanted them
though.
charged, they should have said, "Hey, let's talk about the charges. We'll get everyone to mission row, and then we'll go from there." Which is
Yeah, exactly.
the adult thing to do and the professional thing to do, rather than
Yeah.
a shouting match being started in the middle of the emergency lane of CMC.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Which
and if they weren't
I don't
processing somebody
I don't condone
themselves,
either side
and
doing it. So I'm not just sticking up for LSPD or Pred or anything like that. But there was
no,
zero
absolutely.
professionalism from both sides there. But I can understand why there was aggravation because no direction was given, but just smart ass comments, and there's no other way to put it. So if you had an issue with it, you should have just
Oh
said,
yeah.
"Hey, we'll talk about this at Mission O. Let's get everyone back there, and then we can discuss from there."
Yeah.
And then give full context to what exactly happened instead of like backhanded comments that really lead to nothing other than arguments.
yeah,
And
that
don't
all
get me
sounds
wrong,
silly.
if a marshal's trying to tell you to charge somebody with something, and they're not busy charging somebody else or doing something other critical mission critical task, they should get off their ass and do it themselves. I mean, there
Yeah,
are
I do
some
think that would
few
solve.
things we can't do, like we still have holes in all of our DOC bags to seize people's possessions, but everything else is just fine on processing.
Got it.
Yeah, which we can help with. I mean, even I think Ruth
Yeah.
documented one of the vehicles there, and she couldn't quite see the tampering stuff and that. So one of us went and helped her do it. Like,
Yeah,
there's
we
no
still
issues
haven't received
whatsoever when
that
it
darn
comes to that
training
stuff.
manual.
So
I mean, so if those individuals have been addressed, on like the professionalism aspect. I mean, listen, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that like I wasn't even present, and I can already tell you that Pred was probably out of line in like screaming, especially if Ruth was involved. But as long as we are straight up, marshals being a thing, and now having more of a presence, when there was very little marshal presence before, is inherently going to mean that there's going to be growing pains. And I don't mind sitting here and navigating through those growing pains as long as we all collectively have a long-term goal of ensuring that all departments are working and doing what they should successfully. This brings me probably to my next and last concern, which is Potentially like SOP differences, because I do believe that to be problematic if we don't know what those SOPs are. So, for example, when you had mentioned earlier something regarding, I don't know if it was uniform or something like referencing this gang related situation or whatever it was.
Hmm.
And like, I don't know if that's why they didn't take primary or like communicate stuff, but like stuff like that ends up being problematic if we are entirely unaware that certain restrictions exist for the marshals when they had requested for help, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
especially with a regular everyday patrol thing. I mean, for the most part, when it comes to regular everyday patrol stuff, our SOPs are exactly the same,
Okay.
and they should be, and there shouldn't be any differences. And 90% of the time, they're going to rely on you guys to handle your stuff. Like, some of the
Tarzan, thank you for
main
the raid. Hope
differences
you had a good
are
stream.
mostly to protect you guys. Like, we shouldn't be responding to banks on our own, you know, and then
Mm-hmm.
potentially creating a 78 situation when you guys are already tied up with shit.
Makes sense.
Because there's
Which
no
the same
sense in
officers
us
yesterday
adding
did
more
that.
shit.
Uh-oh.
I mean, don't be
Same,
wrong,
the
on shift
marshals.
3, I do it sometimes, but I've also, like, I've got that. Like, if there's like a cash exchange and you guys are busy with the jewelry store, I'll go collect the hostage. I'm not going to go chase. I'm not going to go put myself in a situation where, I'm chasing them and I get into a 78's call, but I might just go collect the hostage real quick, you know? But I'm not going to go respond to a fucking bank truck while you guys are all tied up in something
Yeah,
else.
that'd be stupid. That'd be absolutely stupid. And as long as it's communicated via 311, because obviously if there's other concurrent shit happening, radio's going to be preoccupied.
Yeah.
As long as that stuff's being communicated, I don't necessarily think anyone's going to have much of an issue with it. It just becomes tricky navigating the existence of other SOPs. What did you say earlier regarding that? Was it uniform related what was it?
Yeah, I mean, so there's some things like if we're on normal everyday patrol stuff, we need to be in a patrol outfit so that we're recognizable. Because if it turns into a shooting and we're not in a regular recognizable patrol outfit, we're just as liable to get shot.
Yeah.
And you've seen some of the outfits I wear. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is normally what I wear when I'm out in patrol because it's identifiable. It's normal, it's regular. Most of us have this one. I have shoulder patches. I have a vest that says Marshal. It's a general police patrol attire. But if I'm in like my red business suit or something, I'm sure as fuck not showing up to a goddamn cash exchange. Have I done it before? Yeah, but there's been some like, instances like Marshall got taken hostage for Polito Bank the other day. And it was like oh fuck. At that moment there was only marshals available because literally every officer was dealing with an armored car.
Mm-hmm.
And so we rushed up there to go handle it, and then asked after I arrived, then more
Hmm.
officers arrived who were in normal uniform. I normally shouldn't go respond to that in my normal business attire, but it was a certain situation for that. It was a non-standard situation.
And like I
That's
said,
But
standard
understandable.
general,
operating procedures or standard situations, and sometimes we have to deal with non-standard situations.
yeah.
Davenport. In the so because specifically the marshals had requested for backup involving the situation, I'm assuming the officers that assisted and responded did so under the assumption that they were taking control and like essentially primary on the scene.
Yeah.
But realistically, Springfield, with the information you had, they likely weren't even in normal uniform, and so they were essentially just doing the equivalent of making PD aware, despite having, let's say, photos and whatnot, because they were like monitoring.
Yeah.
And so they likely had the expectation that PD was going to be leading that scene because they
And
were
that's a
doing
fact
it
I
as
don't know.
an informative thing, not uh, this is our scene. Because I can understand that happening and us seeing that now as a pain point. And like, if it does happen, hopefully ensuring that it's communicated properly.
Yeah.
I can understand why that would have happened. If each side doesn't realize the other side's restrictions, if that makes sense. Like, we respond to a call, the person making said call, whether that's like, oh, there's a white sultan out in front of the jewelry store, blah blah blah, so and so's prime, that person is leading the scene. If someone's calling in, there's a gang related shooting, we just saw someone get shot down, we're responding to that call like they're any other officer, and we're expecting that they are the ones who are leading it. But again, in this, the likelihood that this was a just informing PD type situation is fairly high, I'd imagine.
And don't get me wrong, I don't know factually that they weren't in uniform.
They weren't
Based
in
on
uniform.
what
Yeah,
I-
they were just dressed.
They were
like
just
in
dressed
regular
normal.
clothing. Yeah.
And that
From what
does
I can
kind of lead
recall.
to like how they approached it. If it was just an informative, hey, just letting you know this is what's going on, we're taking pictures and documenting, compared to, hey, this is happening, can I get 77s? Putting 77, calling for 77s directly infers that you are directly involved. And you are basically taking control, you're requesting additionals. And so there is a failure in communication at that point. You know what I mean? And it's just a small, subtle difference between, hey, this is going on, and hey, this is going on, can I get additionals?
Yeah, agreed. Again, we're gonna deal with bumps on the road, right? The marshals are likely the biggest they've been in a very long time. I just want to work towards a common goal of making sure that we're all on the same page. So as long as we can work towards said goal, I have no issue with dealing with said. I mean, it's not ideal, but that's fucking life. We're gonna have to live with that.
Yeah, and I mean, for the most part, like I said, when it's involving patrol stuff, it's just the third department. There shouldn't be any difference in normal standard operating procedure. If they're doing things wrong and different from SOPs, then we need to address that. You like bring it to us so we can address it internally, because that needs to change.
Got it.
Because
can you put on your radar the communicating situations that are actively occurring in front of marshals, and sort of the implication of calling for 77s, that way they know the position it puts us in and like what we're expecting? It doesn't need to be something super in depth, just the expectation that if they're calling for 77s, we're responding with the expectation that they are leading said scene unless otherwise stated.
Exactly.
So just so that there's no confusion.
For additionals, that's literally, I'm taking control and I need backup.
Yeah, agreed.
That's literally
100%.
what that means.
That's all I've got. I don't know if there's anything else. I think we've pointed out a few pain points that can hopefully be resolved, and nothing burgers hopefully staying nothing burgers and not progressing into anything too crazy.
Yeah, well, you say that, and then shit goes crazy.
Yeah, and then you have Carmine.
Like you said, people have
or Bobby.
We have people struggling with a difference between 0 to 100. Oh, I heard that it's okay to chase people around with a crowbar. So clearly it's okay for me to pull up my breacher and blast this guy for fun.
That would be a major issue.
Yeah, but it's something that I could totally see happening.
I don't know if, well, hopefully not. That person, whoever would do something like that, would have to be incredibly stupid. Incredibly stupid.
But again, Springfield, appreciate you coming here and having this conversation. Appreciate you taking the time. Does anyone else have any other questions or
Nope. You've been great, Jessica.
Extent?
Thank you very much.
I try.
Yeah,
all right, I'll get out of your hair. I'm gonna go pass out.
Oh yeah, thank you for staying up. Again, really appreciate you. Thank you.
Night, y'all.
Have a good one.
Davenport, do you have something else?
No, I just said that I'm all good. Thanks. See you later.
Oh, okay. Good night, y'all.
Good night.
See ya.
Night.
That helps solve a lot of shit.
Yeah, I
should probably do that more often.
Oh, 100%.